adopted agenda.
Well,
I'll make that motion.
excuse me, I'm sorry. Could we add the, real briefly, the municipal executive committee,
Okay.
which won't take me 2 minutes to go over, and that's it.
Okay, so Daniel wants to add the municipal executive committee onto the agenda. So, so we will now adopt the agenda with that added on.
I'll
Have
make
a
that
motion.
motion.
Nicole, we have a second. Herbie and Fred are seconding, so we will approve that. Okay, the next item is the minutes.
Got on the entry about the bulletproof vests, if we can just add that that was for state contract bid price. And then we had looks like we had a duplicate in relations to the hiring of Richard Cummings, which isn't very important. And while we're on the issue of minutes, I know we talked about the drug policy for employees, and I've got it in my notes for having discussed it in August. However, I went back and I looked and I don't see that they're in the August minutes. So if it pleases the board, I'd like y'all to memorialize that we discussed that and approved discussing with Butler Snow, specifically Trey Butler with Butler Snow. Excuse me, Todd Butler with Butler Snow, in regards to getting that drafted for the city. Thank y'all.
Okay.
Okay, I have one thing. The motion to, in relation to Pate Street, it was reversing the direction of traffic to make it a one-way going.
Dupee to Panola.
Yes.
Okay. Any other corrections or amendments? Okay, I would entertain a motion to accept the minutes as amended. Kagan makes that motion. We have a second. Herbie seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that is unanimous. Okay, looking at the bills.
I had a few questions. Who got promotional pens? Which department?
That would be the police department.
Cool. And then I saw there was a reference to repairs to a Traco drive motor for $2,700. I didn't think we had a Traco.
That's the cemetery. That's what we dig all the graves with.
The mini one.
It's a mini, yeah, a little mini excavator.
And then I had a question about Penguin Management Service. I couldn't tell what that was. It was $1,700 for Edis patch. It referenced October 20th to 21st. It's line number 75935.
For the fire department.
That's fire department.
It allows the tones to go off on their phones, so they receive it by phone, by those radios.
I'm sorry.
That's for the fire department. It allows the tones to go through their cell phone, so they don't have to buy a new radio for each employee. For the ones that aren't actually at work that day, they can get the call through their phone and respond that way.
Gotcha. Thank you. And then the Main Street payment, according to last month, those are on hold until, I think we're discussing that later tonight.
Right, that's correct. You know, we
That was-
went ahead and listed them in the bill, in the monthly bills to keep them so the audit would balance each month, but we have the checks here.
Thank you. I have nothing further.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve the monthly bills. Senator makes that motion, Nicole seconds, all in favor,
Aye.
and that is unanimous. Oh, there you are, Mickey, you moved on me. Okay, Mickey, you're next. Can
All right, can you
you,
hear me now?
yeah, we got you now.
Can you hear me? All right, thank you, Donald. All right, let me give you a report, and I'll just start right back into it. Back in July, something that we advocated for the last year and a half, which was the refinancing of the state historic tax credit, passed. Legislature put enough money into it. They believe it's going to be good through 2030. That's important for a number of big projects and small projects that are going on in downtown. Kind of a crazy legislative session, but it happened. And it even happened with a governor who was not really historic tax credit friendly. That's going on. Currently, we're working on a USDA community facilities grant. This is something that started a couple of years ago in conversations with John Ronzaville when he was in charge of that. It's trying to help small towns bring some kind of a skill set that they don't have, basically planning and architects. And it's being administered through Mississippi Main Street. There are 8 towns that qualify for this grant, but they only have money or funding for 5. We've gone through a round with them. Cinnamon has sat in on some of these conversations that we've had. We've got together with the board and we put in an application. And I got a response from the head of Mississippi Main Street, Thomas Gregory, and his response to our application was, "This is exactly what I needed." So we'll find out next Friday, possibly last Monday. I talked with one of the persons on the committee, Jennifer Prather, yesterday about this. It's October, and usually when we do our membership drive, we look for new board members, and that's coming up now. We had a board meeting back in September via Zoom, and we got everybody on board. I'd like to actually, is Joe York on this call right now?
He was.
He is.
I am, in fact, on this call. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, Joe, could you, after Joe finishes, I'd like to have a few more comments, but Joe's got a project that we talked about at the board meeting, and he'd like to talk about it directly. So Joe, if you would.
All right. Thank you, Mickey, and thank you, everyone. I'm coming to y'all from the side of the road somewhere near Jackson. Technology is amazing, isn't it? Yeah, well, I wanted to say a couple of things, which is, as Mickey said, we did recently meet again. We have not done nearly as good a job meeting as y'all have done throughout the COVID and quarantine and all that, but we were able to get together via Zoom. I want to thank especially Cinnamon for helping Mickey and the Main Street Board get everything back up to date with the state, get us back into the good standing that we need to be in with all of our national and state agencies. And also just to extend a word of thanks to Mickey, who has kept it together and worked as best he can while dealing with a really tough situation with his family down in New Orleans. He's been traveling to and from on a weekly, sometimes bi-weekly basis to take care of his mother and father, who are both in a bad way down there in New Orleans. So our thoughts and prayers are with Mickey and his family. And then just to say, I'd spoken with Donald, Mayor Gray, about this a couple weeks ago. We, as the Main Street Association, have decided to try to help our Main Street restaurants and businesses by providing some outdoor seating within the Pocket Park. I spoke with Mayor Gray about the possibility of that extending to other areas, and he graciously let me know that the good ladies of the, oh, I'm getting some weird feedback. Are y'all hearing that?
Mm-hmm. You got a trucker.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, so I spoke with the nice ladies at the Garden Club, and they they let me know that they were all good on seating. They didn't need any additional seating. So we're going to maintain our efforts just to the pocket park for the time being, creating some picnic tables that can be socially distant with umbrellas, so that people can, buy dinner, whether that be at Trusty Diner, at the BTC, Six P's, any of our local Main Street restaurants, and be able to enjoy that with their family unit, socially distant from other folks on Main Street, as we shift our focus to really seeing what we can do as a Main Street Association to help our Main Street businesses in what has been a very difficult time economically for many of them. So as far as that goes, I know, Mayor, you had said that what happens in the pocket park really doesn't necessarily fall under the scope of the city or that, but we certainly want to make sure that we're not causing undue burden on the city in terms of trash collection, also in terms of public health. So if there are any issues whatsoever that that y'all may have, or questions that you may have about that, we'd be happy to answer them now, or to put ourselves on the agenda for that specific thing to talk about it at a later date. But that's just an update on some of the things that we're doing, and I appreciate the chance to be able to talk to y'all about it.
Any questions while we have Joe still here? Okay.
Do we want to move item,
Well, yeah, since that was that was item 11, but since he already addressed this under Main Street, so we can check off item 11 because that dealt with the picnic tables.
do we
Okay.
want to discuss item number 19?
Yes, we can. We can go ahead because I kind of asked Joe to speak for that too, because I believe the recommendation from the board was to have a Main Street member to speak about what is going on. And I think everyone has a letter stating that everything is back in good graces with the state Main Street, or with Main Street Association. So, but if we want to go ahead and deal with that right now, we can. If there's any questions to Joe about that, and I know we have a couple of Alderman people that's on that board also, but since the board asked for someone to speak, I think it needs to be someone rather than Alderman. Then of course y'all can talk after Joe answers any questions about that. So, Joe, are you still with us?
Yes, sir, I am.
Okay.
Here-
Okay.
So if I could, last month, when we found that our local organization was out of compliance with the state organization, behind on dues and other things, that was highly concerning. And thank you to everybody who remedied that, I think within a week. That was a lot of catch-up work, and thank you to everybody. That was a component of the concern that I personally had in the process of learning where our Main Street organization was. It included me trying to speak to the board of our local Main Street organization. And the challenge that I had finding board members, and then finding board members who knew who their own officers were, was highly concerning to me. I've served on the Main Street board locally, and at the state level, I think almost everybody on the board has participated in Main Street in some capacity. And it's a very dependent organization on local participation and volunteers. And there's a structure that is required for the health of an organization, and that includes an engaged board that engages with the training, an engaged level of just citizenry that participates in various committees that lead various organization functions in the community. And I feel like we've, as a town, funneled all of those responsibilities down to one person in Mickey Howley. And it's not his responsibility. He is there to administer an organization that is supposed to be healthy and robust with citizen involvement. And I would really like to see that level of involvement that I think for various reasons has waned over the years. That includes both membership, an aware and active board that knows what's going on and is leading, as opposed to not knowing what's going on, as well as a financial participation from the community. So I'm not sure what the percentage of public versus private funding of Main Street is today. I believe that the lion's share of funding comes from the city and not from businesses and civic members. So my concerns were about the entire organization and the level of engagement from the community. And I'd just like to hear from our board, our Main Street board, about where that is and if there's strategies in place and a timeline to remedy those issues.
Okay. Would you like me to speak to that, Kagan?
Please, yeah.
Yes, please.
Okay. Well, where we stand on that is I don't disagree with any of your assessment of the Main Street board. Most of us were brought onto the board, those of us that are on there now, including our current officers, by other people who were on the board previously who recommend. I believe I was reached out to specifically by Mickey at one point as a Main Street business owner. And we do rely too heavily on Mickey to carry most of the water for that organization. We have not, I don't think, done a great job as a board being as active and proactive as we need to be. And we had a very long conversation about that in our meeting a couple of weeks ago, which essentially came down to rededicating ourselves and rededicating the organization to doing what it is that we're supposed to do, which is to promote Main Street business and to stand behind Main Street business and to do everything we can to help Main Street flourish. We know that Mickey has had an incredibly difficult time over the last 6 months. And we also know that that has meant that some of the things that he normally does or normally is called on to do, he has not been able to fully do just based on his familial obligations and the health of his family. But he does have the support of our board. He has our faith that going forward, the rededication of not only the board, but Mickey to that goal will, the proof will be in the pudding as to, if that takes place. I truly believe that it will. But I certainly thank you, Kagan, for bringing those issues to our attention. I did not know that we were in bad standing, that we had not paid our dues. And that's, as a board member, I should know that. But I had no idea. I found out about it from you and from Cinnamon. So, so I think there's, obviously we have work to do as an organization, but I also think that, Mickey has given an awful lot of his time, energy, his money, and his talent to helping our Main Street grow and flourish over the years. And I'm willing to spend the time to see us all rededicate ourselves to that mission. And I hope that the city board will understand the extenuating circumstances in Mickey's life that have led to this, and understand, from my perspective anyway, as a board member, that we understand that we need to do more. And frankly, that's about all I can say about it. I hope that answers your question.
It tells me that there's a recognition of the challenges. Can you tell me who is on the Main Street board today and who the officers are?
I can't list, I'm sitting in my car. I don't have a list of who all is on our board. Cinnamon's on there. Erica's on there. I think we just had 3 or 4 people roll off. So some of the people I'm going to mention have just rolled off the board.
Do you know who the president, are you the president right now?
Erica Walden is the president right now. But no, I can't rattle off the top of my head all the names, because we don't have, I don't remember the last time we had full attendance of a meeting for everyone. And again, like I say, we had, I think Joey just rolled off. Mickey could tell you who the other few folks are that just rolled off of the board. And I know that we're open for recommendations for new board members right now. So we're looking to add, I believe, 3, possibly 4 new board members.
So that is something that I would like to see, not from, Mickey is supposed to be the person that is supported by the board and helped given direction and support to facilitate the mission that the board establishes. And I really appreciate, Joe, that you're trying to be that person in a space where it seems that leadership has not been there for an amount of time. I'd like to know that it was more than just you and our 2 representatives from the city board that were really putting in the energy and driving. And
Well, I mean, I think you'll see that between myself, Aaron Abbott Kirkpatrick, who's also on the board, Erica Walden, then of course, let's see, I think we just had, put me on this, yeah,
Calvin Hawkins.
Calvin Hawkins just
Flip
joined the
Johnson.
board recently and has been very active on the board. I think what's obvious from listening to me talk about it right here is, like, as a board, as we go, like, we came on to be supportive. We came on because we had a association with Main Street already, and we wanted to be helpful in whatever way that we can. I think it's completely obvious that we do not function with the efficiency or the purpose that a truly professionalized board works with. And we understand that we have relied too long on Mickey to carry that water, and that we need to do a better job as a board understanding what that is. But you know, that's really all I can say, is that we have to do a better job as a board of making sure that we are not only just supporting Mickey, but also directing Mickey in how we feel that, you know, the operations of the organization need to be going forward.
Okay. Any other questions or anything? Mickey, how much are the dues for Main Street?
Their state dues are $2,600 a year. The national dues are $375 a year.
Okay.
We're currently up on the state dues through the end of the year. Mr. Gregory mentioned about the MOA, Memorandum of Understanding Agreement, in his letter, that it was signed. It's been signed since January. So I don't know why that was in the letter. The training, as far as the trainings that they require, we've already done 2 of the 3 they need, and we've signed up for 3 more and paid for those as well. And they're coming this year. And as far as their economic quarterly reports, we're up to date on that. Let me also comment that while we were sideways with the state, mainly in terms of money and the dues structure. At no point were we never a problem with the national organization. We have 2020 National Accredited Main Street, and we've had that for every year we've been a Main Street program. So we're fine with the national organization. And frankly, that's the highest standard, in my opinion.
Yeah, across the creek.
And also, if you want to talk about the money, the city money.
All right, bye.
I'm sorry, everybody's on mute that should be on mute.
David Howell.
All right. Anyway, I want to
David
talk about the city money. Let me just make a few comments about that to kind of put it in a long-term perspective. We've been financed by the city. The city's been part of the Main Street budget, and it's varied. Kagan had a question about what percentage it was. It's been 50% to 75% of the budget, depending upon the year. And that's kind of standard for public-private partnership. A lot of bigger towns will have it where The public financing part is down to 1/3, but we're not in that category. We're a pretty small town. We have a very small footprint. It's a part-time position that I am employed by. And since 2007, and even though prior administrations even offered it, we did not take additional money. We've kept with the same city financing since the inception in 2007. That hasn't changed one bit. We think that's important. We think what we're running is a very low-cost operation. And the thing about economic development is you're not getting rich off of economic development. It's for the town. I think that I believe that in terms of city financing to what's been impacted on Main Street in terms of private investment, we have one of the highest returns on investment of any town in Mississippi. City of Water Valley has spent $325,000 over 13 years. Its Main Street program, and in private investment into structures and buildings in Main Street, we're a little over 16 million at this point. I think that's a pretty high ROI, and I don't know of another town, especially this size, that has those numbers. So I think we've done pretty good with city's money, but then of course, you know, I'm speaking from a biased position. So that's for y'all to decide. What do you think funding should continue or not? To Joe's point about the board, I will tell you, having been on the original board member and the startup group of this organization, and then after 3 managers before me, who quickly turned over between a year and just a couple of months, and I've had this position now coming on a dozen years, we had a much more gung-ho board in the beginning, but frankly, there was a lot more to do. There were a lot more empty buildings. The city was, to use a term, derelict, and we went at fairly aggressively in fixing buildings. And you can just see by the amount of construction and the way the town looks now versus 13 years ago, how it looks. I'll also will tell you that price of commercial real estate in this town has tripled in that time period. And there isn't another town in Mississippi this size that has those numbers. So I think we've been pretty effective in what's going on. So anyway, we don't have, and what's happened, the transition with the board, and this is something that we've done in the beginning, and we just did it by chance, and we've kept up with it, is we've never kept anybody on that board longer than 3 years. One of the early board members, Eddie Ray, said to me once, he said, that's the strongest thing that this board can do, is have that high turnover in it. Well, I agree with Eddie, but on the contrary, what has happened is we've had a lot of people come through, and frankly, somebody like Joe is a very busy person. You can tell right now, he's doing this from his car somewhere in the middle of goddamn nowhere. So we have really busy people on the board, and they're not being paid. So, you know, I've been in business before where I had people working for me. You know, I've hired and fired and passed jobs over 300 people. I know how to crack the whip. I've done it before. I fired people and sent them up the road and told them what to do. But I can't do that with volunteers. And these are busy people giving their time freely. So it's a little bit tough. It's a little bit of a different situation. Anyway, I appreciate all the board members on there. One thing we've strived very hard to do, unlike some other towns, is get a decent cross-section of what the community looks like on the board as opposed to just what business owners look like. And that, I think, has done us well. So that's my defense. I'm sorry about the communication breakdown in the last 6 months. As Joe mentioned, I had some family issues. As some of you know, I've got 3 elderly parents, mother, father, and a stepmother, all in their late 80s. 2 of them bedbound, and 2 of them had COVID. I had COVID. A number of other members of my family had COVID and were hospitalized. So I've been dealing with that, and frankly, I don't regret it. I would do it again. And it's just a logistics issue. They're that far away, and and I would take care of them again. So you can judge me as you like, but I'm back, at least until the next hurricane. And
Don't say that. That's righty.
it's been a crazy year, you know? I tell you what, I was down there and it's like, oh my God, it was like every week there was a different storm. So, and they live below sea level. My mother has a proven 11 feet of water in her house. So, you know, it's a kind of a funny situation. Anyway, you guys do what you want. You can judge how the program's going. I think we have some good board members coming on. And the ones that we have on right now, Joe included, even though they're very busy people, have a lot of get-go and a lot of ideas. So there we are. Anyway, thanks for your time.
All right. Thank you, Mickey. Okay. Let's go ahead and deal with the Main Street funding while we've fresh on everyone's mind. We've heard from board members. We've heard from Mickey. Any other statements to this effect or? You all right, Kagan?
I think we're going forward.
Motion
in the
sensor
right
lights.
direction. I think we're going forward in the right direction. Mickey just finished up a Main Street community questionnaire for another big grant that he alluded to earlier. Only 8 communities in our entire state can qualify, and we're one of those 8. We will choose 5 of the 8. We got really good feedback on our questionnaire. He said it was exactly what we needed. Mickey worked really hard on that. I've attended 5 CLG meetings, and that's going to cover us for one of the things that we need to do to meet our mandatory meetings. I'm set up to be part of the Fast Forward conference at the end of this month. So that's going to count as another of the 3 trainings that we need. And I'm also registered for the 3rd training. So we'll be in compliance by the end of the year because of that. Mickey's always done a really good job. He's had a lot on his plate, and you know, he's caught up with all of his reports. We're caught up in quarterly reviews. We are looking at the fresh year. They just called today for our new MOA we're going to be looking at. So that, Joe, get ready. That'll be in the next meeting. We'll be looking at our plan of work for the coming year. We just got a grant for the mural. It's supposed to be on the building above the Main Street office. So we've got a lot of stuff still going on. We haven't really dropped the ball as far as looking for opportunities for funding for our Main Street and improving the way you know, our Main Street looks and for curb appeal and things like that. So in my opinion, we're back on track where we need to be. Mickey's the best man for the job. He always has been. He's the mover and shaker of Water Valley and Main Street Association. He has so many connections with so many different entities, and they all know him on a first name basis. They're always so glad to see him. He's been a speaker at the White House on behalf of Water Valley, Mississippi. So I really would like to propose a vote to bring back the Main Street funding.
So you put that in form of motion to?
Yeah, make a motion to bring back the Main Street
Okay.
funding.
Do we have a second to Simmons' motion? Nicole seconds. All in favor? We have 4. All opposed? Okay, Kagan opposed.
I would like to say that I love the Main Street organization, but I would like to see that organization as a whole, as opposed to 2 representatives who are overtaxed and speaking on behalf of what should be a much larger group requesting this kind of support. Main Street will not survive or thrive with a very small group trying to hold it up. And I would prefer to wait until we have confidence that there is a group of our community that is going to support it our financial support won't do anything if there aren't people involved.
Megan, I've actually gotten set up a board member 101 for Main Street. And in our last meeting, everybody was really excited about wanting to attend that. It was of no cost to the organization or to the city. And so that's up and coming as well. Because I think sometimes we get put on a board and not everybody is like me and they delve deep into a manual or, you know, the rules and regulations. And I think that this would be a really good start for training people how to become an active and engaged board member. So, you know, they're even in Rotary, you see, they like to come and eat lunch. Then you've got the other people who are movers and shakers, and you're going to see that in every group, in every organization across the board, whether it's a youth group or a church group or a group of adults, anything that you see, there's always going to be the people that are moving the paperwork forward, and then you've got some auxiliary people that just kind of show up. So what we want to do is the people who are showing up and do want to be part of a board, maybe we can give them some more insight on what their role would be as far as being a member of this local Main Street board.
So,
Things that, you know, that we're going to be rolling out this coming year as well.
okay. All right. So the funding motion did pass 4-1, and we'll just try to get, you know, better communications all along. But we do appreciate the job Mickey does, and the board hopefully will be more active and give him more support. And I think with the new board they will. So, Joe, I thank you for pulling over and talking with us about it also, and you drive safe on the way home.
I feel like I should tell y'all a ghost story now with the lighting that I have going, but thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jeff.
Okay. Next on the agenda is Planning Commission, and I do not believe they met. So there was no, the Historic Preservation Committee did not meet, but I do know that they've got some things going on, maybe applying for some grant money and stuff like that, but they did not meet this month either. Next on the agenda would be, and I don't think Bill.
I don't think he was going to.
All right, y'all got a letter, I think, sent to you from Neil Eubanks about use of the gazebo pavilion on Main Street. We've also had another request for use, and I think we need to adopt some type of policy about the use of the gazebo and the pavilion. While it is public, we're having more and more requests for different things there. I mean, I'm not opposed to any of these. Don't get me wrong. I just think that there needs to be some set policy that what they can be used for, and if the board has to approve each one of them individually, or the policy can stand if there's a charge, things like this. But anyway, that being said, we do have this request from Neil Eubanks for he and his brother to play music one Saturday. And I know that the chamber still is going to have something, but I forget that date in December.
Is Christmas parade, was the Christmas parade canceled?
We haven't canceled it yet,
Giving us a request to have it.
but he hasn't given a request to have it either. So,
He's usually done it by now.
yeah, so, you know, that's another one of these things. Do we put crowds out on the street? So, right now it would violate still the governor's orders of 100 outside if you can't social distance. And of course, in parades there are no social distancing. So, but Okay, let's go back to Neil's request. Is if anyone, I hope everyone got the letter. So
I did send it. I didn't the other one though.
any thoughts or yays or nays or
Like, the request is Christmas music from the bandstand.
yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't object. I think we need to be sure if we say okay to this thing, do we tell the next person thing else? You know, what will be the policy for use? I think is, and so
So it's a public space. I think anything where everyone is invited, even, well, though now we have crowd concerns.
yeah.
If it's a no cost and everyone is welcome, it's a public park.
Okay. But that kind of leads me to another one, and I will not use the name because we've had a request also to have a drive-by baby shower there.
At the other
But that's
end.
invitation.
That's at the other end.
Well, and it'll be at the, well, they said the gazebo, but I don't know how you drive by the gazebo up in City Park. But so, you know, my first thought was, no, we can't do that because that, I assume, would be by invitation to a baby
Had
shower.
weddings in the park. What was the policy then?
What?
We've had weddings in the park before. What was the policy at that time?
That was before
That, yeah, I don't know. Like Kagan said, it is public property and it's for public use. So I reckon if you have an outside wedding, you might want to expect anybody to show up. I mean, because how do you tell anybody not to leave the park? You know.
Right.
that a $5 charge.
Yeah.
So
And we do have like a $5 charge because we, you know, just turn electricity on and just $5, you know. But
So in a state park, I think you rent a pavilion and there's a sign up process.
Yeah.
For a private, you know, if you're gonna have a family reunion or something.
and we do ask anyone to call City Hall if they want to use the pavilion or the gazebo for anything to call and quote reserve it to make sure that someone else is not going to be there. And we also, the third party has, he originally called wanting to have a tent revival. And I told him that we could not do that because, first of all, we can't use public property for something like that, in my opinion, you know. And also in a tent, you would be drawing people in. And so he then asked to use the pavilion also to have preach a couple times. And he is from out of town, this guy. So we're getting more and more requests for this usage of our pavilion and our gazebo. So
Do we have an application?
we do not have an application, Herbie.
That's drawing our people closer together.
Yeah. And Herbie just made a statement that is drawing people, more and more people in a area. And again, we have to follow the governor's guidelines. And so, but, so did I say yay or nay to Neil? And, I think on the shower part, that's definitely a no in my opinion, but you know, y'all can decide otherwise. But I don't see anything wrong with the playing of the Christmas music, but
I'm fine with the Christmas music.
okay.
The other two are tricky.
I think so, because I think you would look at a lot more crowds and with the, I can't envision the shower, drive-by shower type thing anyway, of course. It would be an invitation, so.
It would exclude the public from using the public space during that time.
That's right. That's right. It would. Okay, so I would entertain a motion then to allow Neil to use it, to play Christmas music. All right, Kagan makes that motion. We have a second. Fred seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and that is unanimous, and I will get with Neil
I mean,
tomorrow.
about the shower, I mean, if they don't mind other people being around, what could it hurt?
Yeah,
I
but
can't-
the problem I had, they were wanting City Park with a gazebo.
Oh, how do you
So how
drive?
do
by?
you drive by
Yeah.
there? And
You know, when
Yeah,
when
yeah.
Miss Not Trusty had her 80th, we had to drive by parade for her birthday, and it was wonderful. And
Yeah.
she was just tickled to death. Her family
Yeah.
was happy, and nothing across the street from the
Yeah.
gazebo. But are they actually?
but you know, that kind of flows the traffic, but
is it
when
so,
you're,
or are they going to be on the grass beside the street?
No, they won't get it.
But that request.
I
is
can't
not
hear.
in front of the board, right? That request is not in front of the board,
which one?
the drive-by baby shower.
No, no. I just brought it up because it was
Oh,
just,
okay, okay.
who-
So we're
it was just brought to us really
Okay.
today.
Okay, I
Yeah,
was just asking questions.
yeah. Okay. Mr. Fox. Mr. Willie's here.
Have we not bought this man his fence yet?
Oh,
Got the last bid just now. We've had the other one for about 2 weeks, but we got literally, Vivian just got up and went and printed it off. So I do have 2 bids on his fence.
Could we offer the option of a check for the amount of the lower bid and see if that would suffice? And we've been having this conversation, I'm sorry, since we rolled onto this board.
I understand. And yes, you can make that offer. Mr. Fox is right here. Step over this way, Mr. Fox, a little bit. So Mr. Fox is here, and I'll let him. The one bid y'all received from Oxford Fence Company for $8,550. And then we just received this one from First Place Gate and Fence, and that's Chad Newman. And that bid is $9,617. $9,617.
So I would, if Mr. Fox was willing to accept a check in the amount for the lower bid and sign something that says this responsibility of the city is complete and finished and we are done, I would be happy to make that motion.
Would you accept the check?
The lowest bid will still do the job.
If what Kagan is saying is either we can do the lowest bid on the fence, or we can write you a check in the amount for the lowest bid, and you can either build the fence or not. It's be your money.
But this issue
In
would be.
exchange for a release to the city.
Complete release. Forever and ever, amen.
I want the fence up. I want the urn down as soon as possible.
Yeah.
I respect that.
That's all.
We're gonna take that one down. When we met with him the other day, the city's gonna be
I
responsible for taking it
prefer
down.
not to be included in the money.
So
I
you would rather us just have the fence built?
Yeah.
Okay, he would rather us build the fence.
I'll make a motion then to move forward with the lower bid price and build the fence.
And for the public and posterity's sake, the reason we're doing this is, one, the city in its efforts to dump had to take his fence down, correct?
Yeah.
Right, and
You
so
see what it
we're,
looked like over there.
right, but we're replacing a fence that the city had to take down in order to do its functions there at his property. So that's what's going on here.
Yeah, we're not just building a fence on private property.
Exactly.
We have had this property leased and we are putting the fence up.
Sorry to interrupt.
That's fine. So go ahead, Kay.
With the construction of this fence, we are finished with our responsibility to the property owner who we were leasing land from. Is that correct?
That'd be correct. We've
Not really,
we've contacted MDEQ for a final inspection to see. We've been hauling dirt, a lot of dirt in the last week. The people that's building the strip mall and the new Dollar General has given us that dirt, and we have hauled a lot of dirt up there to finish smoothing it out. So, and if MDEQ has been notified, when they give the inspection, that would be it.
What don't happen to the curb line?
To the what?
Because the
Kudzu?
first been sprayed last year.
And
No,
that's the main problem.
he said
A matter of fact, not my problem.
spray
Other
the
people's problem now.
spray the kudzu one more time also.
So,
Can we,
It's about like me taking a bath. Eventually, I'm gonna have to bathe again. That's how that curfew lines is. You get that doja down there, get the roots up in a pile. Probably burn that pile.
I don't know if you can kill
Shouldn't have
kudzu.
never been over that. They went over that till he dropped them over there from back here by Sonny. I begged him not to do it. Now I'm begging you all to get him out and over there.
I'm sorry, I'd
Take
like
care
to
of the
withdraw
money.
my
Take
motion.
care of the fence.
I couldn't hear you. Okay.
I would like to withdraw my motion until I know for sure what will close down this relationship between the city of Water Valley and Mr. Willie Fox.
But the fence don't have nothing to do with this relationship. This money was in the budget even before he became mayor. Even before you were sitting there. Larry Hart had it here. And I'm still begging for my fence. See, two different things.
So I would ask, what's the wishes of the board?
But it's too many little kids over there for that old barbed wire fence to be over there. It's dragging everywhere. Mr. Kagan, you ever been over there?
I have, sir. And I would like to have that fence built and have the city off your property and not have you have any reason to come back and be mad at the city. But I'm not confident that I know exactly what will satisfy.
Would you want them curfew blinds on your lane?
No, sir.
Okay then. That's where we at. Fence don't have nothing to do with them vines. Fence was there before the vines were.
Daniel, what is our legal responsibility?
Leave the place better than you found it. That's your obligation.
Daniel, did you hear the question?
yes, sir. We agreed to, at our own expense, maintain the premises and the improvements erected thereon at all times during the term of this agreement in accordance with accepted practices, and to keep the premises free of noxious vegetation and not
There you
to
go.
interfere, allow any condition to constitute a nuisance. Further, we have in here that the city, where was I? Hold on, let me. Any improvements to the premises that the city desires to be made for security or operational protection shall be made at the city's expense, subject to the approval of the owner, which would include the placement of the fence. We want to park our reason underneath that paragraph. And then arguably, he's arguing that we caused damages to his property by taking down the fence, and he just wants us to place back. And so, you know, he's threatening to sue us if we don't. So, you know, we just trying to replace the property back the way we found it as part of our operations there. I think since the place is not closed and he's telling us there's children in it, we could say that we need to,
Children across the street within, what, 20 feet of it? All them houses across the street.
I think you can argue under that paragraph that, you know, we need to do that for the protection of the city.
Yeah.
Alternatively, you could argue, so, but I completely understand that Mr. Coughlin's position that he wants this to be crystal clear between the city and you, and that he doesn't want the city to drop $8,000-9,000 down there and then something else be found to and I'm just saying, to your displeasure, and we're back here again. And so I can respect that also. So I see where he's coming from. I think what he's shooting for is to have a better understanding of what's left to be done and maybe have a release executed by you so that the city isn't under the gun of being sued.
All I'm saying, the only thing I'm saying is before we sign some paper, we need to know what gonna happen to them curfew vans.
Well, the kudzu spraying isn't that expensive. What the when I got it quoted last year, the gentleman said he would do it for $400 and never, I guess, went down and did it.
Chad said you all told him to do it. Did you tell Chad to do it?
I did not.
Well, he came to me and I told him, I've been in the chemical business most of my life. Hey, that ain't gonna do it on curfew van.
Yeah, it's a special chemical for it. I know. I
Yeah,
don't know what it is, but I do know it's a special chemical that
It's left up to you all with that too.
that sprays it.
And then I started signing paper.
So you got to keep it cut back too.
Yeah.
I mean, once it's sprayed and it starts to die, then you have to keep it cut back. I mean, it'll grow back unless you get that root ball right.
That's what I would tell you. Got a doge just sitting over there.
You're not gonna get on that hillside right now with that though.
Why
I've
not?
seen that because it's a pretty steep hill.
Turn over.
Mayor, if you get the chance, I would like to speak just a minute when we can.
But I feel like we've defined the fence issue now. We have a dollar figure for it. What I'd like is just a punch list that we all agree on, that these are the things that need to be done. And it's not going to grow in the future. We've all agreed to this set of resolutions.
You write it.
What else? Is kudzu the only other item?
You write it in your minutes and in the contract that you're gonna be responsible for the curfew van. And if that start washing off where you all got the dirt at, come back, redo it.
I don't think we can do that.
Well,
I mean,
huh?
I said, that's a lot of dirt out there.
I know you might do it right, you might not. There is a way it can be done right before you put your dirt there, but
Well, I mean,
Probably wouldn't
what
listen.
I'm saying is we don't want the liability to the city to just be open-ended because the dirt might shift 5 years from now.
when that
and then-
water come off of that this winter, if that dirt is pushed at night, it don't be sinkholes there, cause there's a lot of water come off that hill. You just ain't gonna hit and run and do it right. It don't take time if you taping that off.
So I'm hoping that we're all learning what needs to happen before the city enters another land agreement with anybody.
You've been in this and ever since 1986. It shouldn't be over with now. But this man became mayor. He just walked away. I never told y'all the reason this man don't care too much for me. I saved his brother alive,
Mr. Fox, that has nothing to do
I
with
know.
anything.
but you know what you called me.
No, you don't know what I said, period, okay?
I hear you.
Period.
Your brother told me that.
No, you're here saying, and I've heard enough, okay?
All I said, what y'all gonna do? You gonna put the fence up?
If
Take
we
care
could get
of
a
those.
signed release from the city, but we can't do that legally unless we get a release.
You can put that fence up without me signing the release for that. Because I signed it in the get-go, I'm in big trouble. I want to see the fence up, and I want those curfew van agreement that those steal your curfew van till you get rid of them. That's fair enough.
That's an open-ended contract. No, I don't do it.
I can tell you what, then. Hold on. If why don't you go have a seat behind Miss Vivian while us and the board and the mayor finish talking? How about that? And then we'll finish talking about it. I'm saying don't leave, just take a seat for a minute.
Mr. Mayor, what's the timeline on the MBEQ final inspection?
Mike, did the other Mike give us a timeline when he could get down here?
The occupancy,
Yeah.
just as soon as I call, he can try to work me in just as soon as.
He's trying to work us in.
But
Just in DEQ. They're like everybody else. They're not working full staff. They're working
Yeah.
remote. All this.
if the mayor and the board will give me a minute, let me say my part. I have sat around and I have listened so much of this at this dump stuff. I remember when the dump started, was nothing but 40 or 50 foot straight drop down in a hole. We came up there was no fence on that premises, period, at the time. We put a 50-foot fence right there where the main gate was because it was growed up down the side of the road. And there was an old trailer there down under a little hump. We built everything up and kept it closed off. Then in the years past, as it got on down a little further, the city, went up and put a barbed wire fence up down in the lower part. There wasn't anything much down there in the lower except for the tree house that was at that time. We just so we'd keep people out of the dump. We have over the times gone in and we've hauled dirt. We've got grass. We've got a good grass vegetation set up now. The kudzu that we're all talking about comes all the way from Jones Street across the street at the Professor Key's property, Lewis Camping property, all down through that hollow is nothing but kudzu, and it just keeps growing. All that land in through there. So going in there spraying that, it's really not going to be anything with it. And it's eventually going to come back because it's coming from the people's property down below over the property line and everything. So you can go in and do all that. You're not going to accomplish. We've had hauled in the last couple of weeks well over 100 loads of dirt. We've got some areas that we're trying to get finished, capped off, then DEQ can let us go. But as far as the fence, there was never ever one there until the city went in there and put one up, period. For our own protection to keep people out. We kept the grass cut, bush hog, whatever, only the premises that we have leaked. I think I've worked hard enough for the city-wise to get some stuff done and know what the dump needs up there and still working. When I walk out of there, I don't want to be worried, we're through, but I just feel like, the kudzu is not something that we think. I know we didn't haul the kudzu to plant that whole place up there. It grew from in the bottom, from over there on Jones Street, all that land in through there is covered up in kudzu. So it just doesn't originate from one piece of property.
If I may.
Go ahead.
I would like us as a board to be able to solve this problem because it's been an unhealthy relationship. And it's just been dragging on and on. But I don't think we're solving it if we don't close any of these areas of disagreement. And I don't know if we can do that. I tried. I thought one of the desires was to just have, the last time we spoke to Mr. Fox, he just wanted payment. But apparently that's not the case anymore. I don't know if that becomes something that can't be achieved unless it does go to court. I would ask Daniel to tell us how can we achieve a point where we have a written agreement that says these items, once they are remedied in this fashion, will end the relationship between the city and this private landowner.
I mean, you could enter into a contractual agreement, that says for an exchange of X plus Y, you'll have a full and absolute release. So if for sake of the argument, if Mr. Fox says it's for the placement of the fence and the spraying of the kudzu, then that's your X and Y, and once it's done, it's done. What I'm trying to express is that I'm not completely ignorant of vegetation, and vegetation, as Mike was pointing out, we can't go spray the neighbor's property also. And so that vegetation is going to come back no matter how good of a job we do it. And so I just wanted explicitly clear that while we can do it now and get it into a position that it's remedied for the immediate time, that 9 months from now, there's no guarantee that half the hill won't be covered up. I've seen kudzu expand like wildfire. It's just insane how quick it'll grow. So, you know, I was trying to express that but yes, we could put it all in writing that once the city has performed X and Y and we have documentation of it, that's a full and complete release if Mr. Fox will agree to execute it in kind.
That I would
And
be,
agree to the terms that.
I would just love to have that agreement that both parties are ready to accept, and then we can move forward. But I don't feel like Mr. Fox feels like he has that list. And if we can, Daniel, if you can get to a point with Mr. Fox where you and he are in agreement that this is the punch list, that would be wonderful.
We could come back for a special meeting if we can draft something that's agreeable to him. And
So I think, for the purposes of discussion, is the city open to the idea of what?
I think the city is open to the idea of building a fence and spraying the kudzu now. But again, kudzu is coming back. I mean, it's going to either come back from neighbors
We
or
gotta keep
something
it bush hog.
because it's,
I can get you spray. Just tell me I can get you spray.
Huh?
I can get you spray for you if you want spray.
Well, how much is it gonna cost?
I'd have to look.
Huh?
Ask Alan Rome.
I asked him and he said, I'm not giving
No,
you that.
I have a pre-spraying outfit that'll come in here and spray it.
Well,
I'm
see,
gonna
when,
say $1,500 roughly. maybe.
he's right. We talked to, I don't know why I'm drawing a blank all of a sudden. The one fence quote guy, and he said he would use, he's got residential spray for that stuff. And if it's a residential place, he can't do a commercial. I said, well, it's not commercial. It's part of this man's property. He could go down there and it'd be about $400. And we said, well, that's beneath the quote that we have to bid it, and it's in the contract. So I talked to Miss Vivian and I told him, go ahead and go down there and spray it and submit the city a bill.
He told me the other day he didn't.
Right. And so now he's decided against it. And so anyways, as long as it's going to be underneath the bid requirement, then we don't need to have two bids for the spraying. But if it's going to be over $5,000, we're going to have two bids on the spraying.
so
This is all the how that I would like
But
to
you can do it. Your crew can do it.
have it come to a conclusion.
I can call and find out what it would
Are
be.
they still?
he's not. Okay. Will those two things satisfy Mr. Fox?
Mr. Fox, would you be, if we built the fence, and what fence are we talking about building to be crystal clear?
It's
That says a 5 foot.
5 foot residential grade galvanized chain link fence.
5 foot chain link fence.
It's got,
Spray the kudzu.
and it's got the gates that he would need to get in and out of his property.
And then we get it closed off. And once it's closed, you've got the fence up and it's been sprayed one time, we're done.
Fence sound good. Problem is, the curb root line, look, I've been at that place ever since the 70s.
Yes.
I don't know what he's talking about. I didn't have a curb root line over that about 7 years ago.
Come through the hollow.
No, they didn't. You dug them out down here. I asked you not to bring them.
Well, that's beside the point. They're there now. What I'm saying is we'll agree to spray the kudzu one good time. But kudzu requires you to keep it cut so it won't come back.
No, not my van.
So I would table this until we have an agreement that's acceptable to Mr. Fox that we can vote on. But I'm I'm interested in voting on something that is the last time.
I agree with you.
And in 2 years, we won't have a liability for the city to go and fix erosion or something like that.
I think everybody's.
Problem is the van.
Yeah, let's get that EPA guy or the state guy in there to shut that thing down so that all we've got left is to make Mr. Fox agreeable that everything's over.
Okay.
So we're saying that we want to keep working with you and that right now we're agreeable to get the fence done subject to us reaching a final agreement. And that that's on the table and we got our quotes. We just can't let the quotes expire. So we need to get it clicking on. And I'm not saying clicking our end.
Okay, so we will table that. And,
May I say one thing?
yes,
All that dirt you got piled up down there, will be back downtown this morning. Unless you go down on that hill and drop a couple loads of dirt that would wash out, come back down the waterway. He
we'll,
saved himself a many days hauling dirt. He did that 10 years ago.
we'll,
But you can't convince him to do that.
We'll work on that.
Slow that soil down.
That may be, it may be a dollar figure of 4 years worth of spraying, but the city's going to pay forward and not be responsible for it. I don't know what the agreement will be. I would just like it to be fine.
concrete, signed, over, done. Yes. Okay. Okay.
Yes.
The next item is Ulysses Key on 552 Edgefield. And he has, we can't duly deal with that for a hearing tonight because he's been cited and it's in the courts. So,
That's correct.
did he come for his initial?
Yes.
Judge Howell, Secretary.
Yeah, Judge Howell, he has appeared to the courts one time already, so we can't deal with a hearing here tonight. And I'll keep y'all abreast of what happens with the courts.
Thank you.
And Earl Allen is the next one on Ridge Street. And I believe did he sell it?
Yes.
He told me he was going to.
He has just sold the property. I think it closed today or yesterday,
Probably closed last week.
or maybe last week. I just got word today anyway. So that property's been sold and the new owner is supposed to get it cleaned up. So,
Gonna tear it down?
pardon?
Are they gonna tear the house down?
Probably, but he hadn't said for sure. I think he's buying the other property too. That's where the burned house. He's trying to buy that. The same guy is. So
That's a
that's my
shame.
understanding. But I'm talking to him tomorrow, so I can let you know on that too. But anyway, Mr. Allen did sell that property. Okay.
That's exhausting.
It's exhausting just talking to Dylan. I'm sorry, y'all. It is. Okay, the next we have David has got 2 bids for he calls it a mole. Is that right, David?
Yeah,
A mole
boring tool.
boring tool. And the correction on the ditch witch mid-south estimate, because part of it had a what do you call that, camera thing on it or something?
Sonic kit
Yeah,
for location.
the location kit, but he's doesn't need that. So that bid is the 547686, and the other bid was 549424 from Power Mold Sales. So, David, you want to tell them what this?
It's a tool for replacing water service lines. It saves some asphalt and concrete sidewalks, driveways. Like if we have to bore under the road to replace a service line, we don't have to cut all the way across the street in certain jobs. It'll pay for itself eventually.
And if
The
y'all,
one,
will-
one we have is wore out.
if you'll, the first use, if you'll look across from my old fire department, police department, that water leak there goes under that individual. It's our water line, but it's under his concrete.
Right. I've got 2 jobs right now that I need to use it.
So
for.
we either have to
One
pay
is
to bust
part
up all of his concrete, or we got to have this tool to fix it.
We do have an existing tool like the one that you want.
Yes, yes.
And
Except it's wore out.
it's just wore out.
It's wore out.
They won't dig no more.
That mole's nose is gone.
No one knows it's gone. Okay.
Anyway, those are the 2 bids.
Which
So
one does
that's
David want?
56 is from where?
I think David wants one from Ditch Witch.
Ditch Witch,
Uh,
547686.
it's a few dollars cheaper, but he wants the one from Ditch Witch Mid-South. So I would entertain a motion for us to go with, and Herbie's making that motion. Salmon is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and that is unanimous there.
All right. Thank y'all.
Okay, Jason?
It has been brought to me to have a joint first responder trunk or treat down at the ballpark on the 30th, kind of for Halloween. Be us, Sheriff's Department, Fire Department, EMS, if we can get them involved. It's been reached out to me tonight. The Dream Riders group is interested in joining in this as well. We do understand, depending on what state the governor's got us in at that time, we'll have to do social distancing, masks, spread out through the park, drive through, whatever the exact condition is at the time. But since there may not be a meeting before then, we kind of wanted to get on the record for approval or blessing or however that needs to go tonight.
I think it's good community outreach.
Like I said, I believe a tentative flyer was sent out. It's got the ballpark on Tyler Road, which is Crawford. We're gonna have that changed because everybody went, "Where is that?" But
Yeah.
it's actually Crawford. So
I would, if we lean towards the drive-through option, I think socially distancing young people in masks with candy would be really challenging.
like I said, we knew there would be some last minute play on depending on what state we're in with the governor's orders, the city ordinance. But we didn't know if there'd be a meeting, so we just kind of had to get a heads up.
With the
We had a trial run with the passing out of the masks, and that worked pretty smoothly, of just a big loop of traffic, and it was safe and smooth.
So you're saying with the drive-through, the different entities would just walk up to the car and give the candy through the window?
I would go with something similar to that. We'd have to sit down and talk to all the people and figure out how we can stage everybody in the parking lot and get a route going so we don't end up backed up on Main Street and whatnot, but something similar to that.
But the people will not be getting out of the vehicles.
I mean, that's kind of why we're here. We can go with that if we need to. I mean, that's,
I think at
because
this time that would be my suggestion, that yes, we can do something of this nature as long as the people don't have to get out of the vehicles like we did with our masks.
right.
Mhm. I totally agree with that.
So
If they stay in their vehicle, I think that would be great.
total drive-by trunk or treat type thing.
And if the departments compete for best candy,
You can't go, can you?
Well, we will accept any and all candy donations. 'Cause otherwise, it's coming out of our pockets. But the employees and whoever's pockets. So if anybody wants to throw a bag of Snickers on the table, we're game.
Can we, as the city, like Snickers?
Yeah, we can choose to give them so much, if y'all want to do that. I mean, just need to put them out and
Well, I feel like that this is a good event, and due to the coronavirus and the way that our public has had to
stay inside and everything. This is something that will kind of promote
And I will say this,
socialism to a certain extent.
this exact idea was brought to me by a deputy from the sheriff's department wanting to do it, and I think it's a great idea. Years past, I believe Josh may have with the fire department. Every year, the old police department, we stood on the front porch and give out candy every year. That's just kind of been an ongoing thing. So we kind of wanted to get together and do it as a group. So
You have any kind of amount in mind? Just a couple hundred? All right, you want to put that in form of motion?
I do.
Hardy's made a motion that we allow them to do the drive-through and that the city donate a couple of $100 to this event.
Second.
All right, the second, all in favor? Everybody, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I blinked. Yeah, okay. Okay, all right, so that passed. All right, the next thing is, and Mark is not here tonight. Jason is going to talk about this trench permit. And let me kind of let y'all know kind of what brought this to mind was some of this excavation that's been going on south of town. Mark happened to go by one day and there was a guy down in the ditch that was about over his head with no protective shields or anything, which we know that would violate OSHA for sure, but we did not have any type of policy that Mark could say, no, get out of that trench, you know. So he has come up with this little excavating type permit thing that he wants to propose.
Is it, let me ask a question, is it a commercial company doing this?
this one was, yes, sir.
Yes.
Well, that they're supposed to follow all OSHA standards and trenching is part of it.
Well, I mean,
They're in violation of
it was
OSHA.
a plumbing company doing Dollar General. I don't remember the name of the company off the top of my head, but they were not just a fly-by-night outfit.
Yeah.
They were.
Okay, we'll listen.
The proposed stipulations or agreements would, at least 5 days notice prior to the digging or opening of the trench. Company would have to be bonded, inspected prior to use, and he don't have it listed, but I'm gonna say that would involve Trey and the current fire chief or person of that he has appointed in that capacity as his inspector. It'd be for anything 5 foot or deeper would require a protective system such as walls or an approved system by the fire department or OSHA. The signed OSHA compliance awareness form that they know the standards are supposed to be meeting. It's proposed to put a hefty fine for anybody that's not in compliance with this. There will be no warnings. If you're caught doing it, it's an immediate shutdown and fine, with daily inspections of trenches that are left open. And not sure. Oh, and daily inspections, but depending on weather, anything else that may be going on, it may be more than just once a day. It may require hourly or just depending on the situation to be at least daily, more often if necessary. And the ability for the city to force the operation to close if it's unsafe and can't be made safe. Of course, 811 will have to be notified due to it being a groundwork being done, and it's proposed to put a $100 permit cost on it to acquire the permit.
I think we've all heard of examples of people being injured or even killed.
The only other thing that he don't have on here, I would ask the board is to consider is who is the enforcing authority and how it is enforced. Who makes the call? Is it the police department that becomes the enforcing agency on the word of the fire marshal and or building inspector, or who has the authority to write and cite?
So I had a couple questions. One was just that, is it does this usually fall under the fire department or would it be a
It would-
training?
It would fall under the fire marshal, as he's the one that would actually be the rescuing authority if something goes wrong,
That makes sense.
such as your sprinkler systems and same scenario.
So a couple things come to mind. Does our water department have one of those steel form protective barriers? Because they're gonna have to,
We do not. I don't think we actually probably go that.
You say out some jacks down there that we jacked out when we dug sewer ditches or what, but I don't know if they even work.
Yeah. Most of the time on those, the big jobs, of course, are contracted stuff that we do. Very few times that deep, or to put a line in. So, but we need to look into it anyway to have it in case we need it.
And my understanding is, and Mark may have to correct me, so don't hold me to this, is if you dig the trench and you can dig the trench, put a pipe in it, the issue becomes when you put a man in it.
Yes.
So, I mean, if David or the water department had to dig a ditch, lay a pipe in it with a backhoe or a track hoe, and if the man never gets in the hole, who cares if it cleaves in?
Well, I had years ago, a city digging a trench, and they was putting in a 10-inch water line, and an 18-year-old boy had it between his legs, and when he joined
Yes.
the pipe together, it collapsed, and I watched that boy die.
Yes, that's what's bringing this up is the exact
So I know the
trying to
urgency of
prevent.
this.
Well, as I did.
would this, so when it says 5 feet or deeper requiring a protective system, would this only apply to anything deeper than 5 feet? Or would you also
Yes.
need a permit to trench something shallower than 5 feet?
Yes, if you're digging a 3-foot ditch, it wouldn't require a protective system because in
Would it
theory,
still require a permit?
that would be your discretion. I believe the way he's got it written is no.
Okay.
That would allow you to dig a small ditch without having to draw a $100 permit. Something that's relatively safe for you to work on.
Yeah.
So my only two things that I would propose amendments to, the 5-day prior notice. Sometimes if it's new construction, you can plan ahead, but if you're doing repairs or something, you may not have 5 days. And then the $100 permit fee.
What are we gonna do about the city? I mean, the city doesn't have the equipment to do this stuff either.
Like I said, we rarely would be in that situation, but we do need to look into getting this protective equipment in case we have to.
One time would be just as important for us as
Yeah.
it is for these things.
Yeah. Take it, you have the permitting fee, do you have an amount in mind, that may be a little excessive?
I was thinking $50.
50. We need to get Daniel probably to draft this type of policy up, and it would have to probably be advertised also, I would think. Would it not? Yeah. So basically, I think we probably just need to do a motion to have Daniel do an ordinance to this and pursuant to these instructions, and then we would come back and adopt the ordinance later. So right now, just a motion to get Daniel to do to draft an ordinance.
How do folks feel about the 5-day notice?
The only thing with 811, you're going to be waiting 5 days, believe me, because even the fence I built, it took a while for everybody to get by.
Maybe just to throw this out there is maybe you can include an emergency provision.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, repair. If we've got a 12-inch water main spewing water.
So 5 days for new construction.
Yeah. 5 days from you. All right. So I would
move that we have Daniel turn this into an ordinance.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second.
Second.
Nicole seconds, all in favor. And that is unanimous. All
And
right.
can we get David to start looking for some wall retention stuff?
For
In
the city.
the last decade, the person I've seen in the bottom of deep holes the most has been David.
Yeah.
You can do plywood walls. I mean, there's more than just a concrete box option.
Yeah.
It's just,
But we need to be in compliance.
yes. I just,
We,
speaking of
I will
this,
address that with David
there's-
tomorrow also.
Hey, we want to see y'all with some OSB board and some pilot jacks. We usually do that.
Right.
Okay. I'm making myself a note just a minute.
He's got a few more things. I don't know if he told y'all about, but or I'll continue being the fire chief for just a minute. I don't think he slipped these. I don't know if he got these, Miss Vivian, or slipped this in late. It's,
Uh,
I got that late.
okay,
yeah. I don't think,
more fire chief stuff. Yes,
that's it.
it's more of an update than, I don't think anything, I don't know if anything on there requires approval or a motion. I think it's just updates he wanted to give before the board. Before he had the,
That'll go in good.
yeah, the bottom half's executive. I
Yeah.
guess we got that covered.
I'm telling you, Dave.
All right.
Mark was here.
Mark sent some other just
Updates.
announcements that he wanted made. So,
Well, I guess the first thing is he wants to approve a physical agility test for November 7th for some new firefighters in anticipation of the Safer Grant. It's still, it's not approved, but it's still in the pending process. He just wanted to, wanted to just put it on record and make sure that he could go ahead and offer the test in anticipation of approval to start recruiting. As soon as the grant's hit, he wants to be prepared to put people on staff.
Okay. Do we need a motion for that?
Probably second, they want to do it off.
okay, so he wants approve physical agility test November the 7th. Okay.
And he wants to take place at Crawford Sports Complex due to they're gonna have a 1.5 mile run. There's an obstacle course they got to complete, a few odds and ends, push-ups, sit-ups, just for the room for the track, for the run, and space everybody out. He wants to be able to use that facility.
Okay. So Mark wants to use the complex for physical agility test for potential firemen. So Herbie makes that motion. We have a second. Fred seconds. All in favor? Okay.
The second one, as far as a sign for the police and fire department, or fire and police departments, he likes to say. He's looking at an LED sign. It's going to be approximately $20,000 installed. I think it's still up in the air exactly how to fund it, or if we do fundraisers, donations. But we are looking at trying to do some kind of nice sign where we can do public announcements along with just saying this is the fire department.
We wouldn't need,
Yeah.
well, we would need
I'm
two
being fire chief
bids
right
for
now.
that. So
I didn't have my
we
time.
can't take any action on that tonight. Just tell them to get bids right now.
The old KME fire truck was sold on Gov Deals. It has been paid. It should be leaving tomorrow. The guys, every time he gets ready to come get it, here comes a hurricane and he's driving it back to Georgia, and he don't want to drive that old fire engine to Georgia in a hurricane. Can't really say I blame him.
Smart guy.
And we'd like to get approval to send Sergio Vergara and Will Carter to the fire academy as soon as they get in. Have y'all got a date? Be the November 9th will be the start date for their academy.
So it's to,
I'll make that motion.
Herbie makes a motion to approve them for the fire academy. And we have a second. Nicole seconds. And all in favor. And that is unanimous. Okay.
And I will shut up now.
All right. Andy,
I'll be back.
are you asleep? All right.
Donald, that was Gazara, and what was the other last name?
Carter.
Carter, okay.
Okay. Everybody got copies of this?
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna let Andy speak about the metering system. Maybe if you want to move so they can see you or somewhere.
We've talked about it in the past, about the metering system that we have, and about what the company's going through, as far as that company and the pricing of the new meters and stuff. I would like to have permission to go ahead and move forward and open up and put out for bids. I know it's gonna be expensive, what we're gonna do. As far as the money's concerned, I've talked with my advisor and stuff. I asked him, do you want me to finance it? We're stable enough, he just wants me to pay for it outright. But I know it's gonna take getting bids and then getting approval through y'all.
What were you guesstimating?
It's gonna be somewhere around $480,000.
480? The reverse off.
Yeah. So we advertise.
We advertise in the newspaper for exactly what he wants, and then reverse auctions on the date that. Do they make more than one system?
There are different companies that make different systems.
Okay.
I guess I'll have to
That's perfect.
go through them, you know, give them the opportunity.
If you want a better turnout, yeah.
I've got my opinions on the whole thing already, but I mean, I know we gotta follow the channels to do this. But right now, I wanna get the ball rolling. It's getting to the fact now that I don't even buy meters to replace the old system, to put back on the system. One, they're too expensive. So I'm just putting plain meters in, and now we're looking roughly a day and a half to 2 days, shutting the whole company down, and they're reading meters.
So I suppose we just need a motion tonight for him to get the specs for us to advertise for this new metering system. Herbie makes that motion. Kagan seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank y'all.
All right.
Hopefully these will work.
Hopefully they'll work.
Yeah.
If we can make sure that the company doesn't choose to exit the business after they sell us.
Yeah, that would be nice. And, because it kind of put us in a bind for sure. Okay, the next item is fireworks in the city.
Yeah.
And I've gotten several calls. First of all, even back around the 4th, people want to know what our ordinance was, if we could. And then I've gotten some calls, and basically from the housing authority, which wants them banned. They want fireworks just totally banned. You know, I'm not a fireworks person, but you know, the kids, I think a lot of adults do enjoy them. So I don't lean towards the line of just totally banning fireworks in the city, but I think we probably do need to set some regulations on usage hours, especially because I think they started a few days before the 4th and went a few days after the 4th this year, and a lot of them into the night. And and I got some calls, and probably some of y'all probably did too. You know, why are y'all letting people shoot fireworks off at midnight? And other than New Year's Eve, you know, probably shouldn't. But anyway, I told basically the housing authority I would bring this up and see what the board thought about this. So.
We have 2 businesses in town that sell fireworks seasonally, don't we?
Yes.
Do they collect sales tax?
Yes. Yes. So.
I know my dogs would appreciate a ban on fireworks, but.
And mine also, but you know.
We set fireworks off. Do we already have a noise ordinance that?
They have a noise ordinance, but we don't really. Yeah. Yeah, no decimal meter there, and some of those fireworks that I heard this year definitely fit in that decimal situation. But again, I'm not one to want to ban or stop anybody from enjoying them. Again, we do have a couple businesses that set up and sell them, but I do think we may need to set some guidelines for usage. And again, if we want to kick that over to Daniel to maybe look at the legal end of that, and we just kind of open it up for discussion tonight. So, but with y'all's permission, I'll get Daniel just to look into maybe some type of ordinance or policy regarding the fireworks.
Look at a really simple, short one. I started
Yes.
reading the drug policy.
Yeah, just, one paragraph,
I'll make that motion.
Okay, Herb makes a motion to, we let Daniel look into this. We have a second. Nicole seconds, all in favor? Okay, that passed unanimously. Okay, the next item is the data system agreement for tax receipts. Again, I think y'all have the letter that was addressed. To inform us that the tax collector's assessor would no longer be able to do that, the tax statements and receipts for us. And so data system has given us a cost of doing the tax statements and receipts. Of course, then we would be responsible for the postage on top of this $500.
Motion to engage them.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second. Herbie seconds. All in favor?
Annual cost?
Data system management, it was $500, and plus, like I said, we would have to pay postage.
Which is not bad.
Okay, is annually?
It is.
Yes.
It's just, we don't really have a choice but to use them, actually.
Yeah, I just didn't know if it was 500, how often.
Yeah,
Once
be
a year,
annual.
Just once a year.
Okay, so we had a motion and a second. All in favor?
I'm a little confused. What are they gonna be doing?
They put our tax receipts
Tax.
because we don't have the means to pull from the counties.
They're just gonna send
Wow.
you like your tax receipt book for you to do your little pink and blue, pink and yellow things out of? Okay. That's
They
pretty
print them.
straightforward.
They print them for us
Okay.
because we don't have the means to print them, and the county can no longer print them for us because they don't have a printer to print them on.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay, that passed. Okay, next is the quarterly electric department write-offs. And y'all have that list.
One question, how did someone use I think it's Miss Hervey, almost over $1,800 in water and sewer in 1 month? Is this a residential property?
It's not 1 month. You have to figure, Kagan, we stay a month, roughly a month and a half in arrears. And if I'm not mistaken, that one there had an absolutely huge water bill, had a water leak and never took care of it.
Yeah.
But, actually by the time we go out there, we say we stay a month behind on billing. Well, by the time it all rolls around, you're looking really, before we cut them off, almost 3 months worth of accumulated bills because you got bills coming behind after we go to get them.
It was just a huge amount of water.
It was.
Yeah. Yes.
And I do know that one name on this list, a lady has passed away, and that property's in someone else's name now, so that won't ever be collected, but, you're gonna have some of those also. But anyway, the total is $5,444, and the last page breaks it down between electric, water, and sewer and sanitation. That's the first time the water has been that high, of course, because of that huge bill there on the water part.
So move to approve writing these off.
Okay,
Or
Herbie
transfer.
second, transfer them into collections.
Yes.
Herbie seconds, all in favor? All opposed? Someone opposes?
Where are we with our collections on these write-offs?
unless they, most of them, unless they come back asking for service somewhere, most of them are, we don't get. I did kind of upset a gentleman this past week that was complaining about something, and I just happened to mention in the conversation that he owed us over $350, and he kind of went berserk. He has no utilities in his name anymore, but he was complaining about city services. So, but I kind of made him mad. So we do try, and of course he got rather aggravated and said that I was threatening him in different ways, but I was not. I was trying to be cordial. I may have sounded threatening. I'm sorry. Anyway, that passed. So, but we do try. They cannot get utilities hooked back up in their name, and they're not supposed to live in a residence that has. But our public service commissioners can enforce that part of the policy. So that kind of took that. I mean, that used to be policy. If we found out that I owed a bill and I moved in with someone else, they could not get utilities. But they said we cannot do that. So they kind of took the teeth out of that. So, okay. Next is the milling and asphalt. The different, we're using state bid prices on this, and we were running up against a deadline, so we did start some milling today. Not today, yesterday actually, and on Main and the but like I said, everything that we're purchasing is on state bid price. So it's getting to be fewer and fewer people willing to do this for small jobs. And this company was actually in Charleston or doing some work and just was able to come over. So we went ahead and did that. So I suppose the motion would be just to do the paving that we always set aside paving for each year. The paving and the millage is over to state bid prices.
Make that motion.
Hurry makes that motion. We have a second. Fred seconds. All in favor? Unanimous. And if anyone in your ward district has a street that you think needs overlay, please let me know ASAP. We've been driving around trying to look at the worst ones. We try to keep, while we did Main Street, that's a bus, we want to get the bus as smooth as possible. And that road was getting in bad shape. So, but if you have one in your ward that needs an overlay, please let me know. Okay. This animal ordinance, again, is kind of for information because what started this is chairman of the planning commission called me and they had someone contacted him. They have not come to the commission, but wanting to build a horse barn and in the city. And of course, it did not meet the zoning requirements. So basically they could just say no there. But I wanted everyone to know that we do have an animal ordinance in the city. And that's why I got that sent out.
It's so cool. It's 1915.
Yeah.
1915 on the original, and then they defined some things later on. But I thought that was kind of neat too. That 1915.
Our current discharge of firearm in the city is from like 1908.
This was updated in 03, but that's for information more than anything else. And I scared Kagan with this one, but no, it's not picking on anybody. I just wanted everybody to be aware of this.
I had a calf get out earlier this week, and I was worried one of my neighbors was a little annoyed. The calf was being weaned and unhappy.
And even if, I think if we did make any updates to this, we certainly would have to grandfather anything, because Cake is not the only one that has animals in town. So there are other places that have animals in
I'm
town.
sorry.
Okay, the next item is the 2019 municipal compliance questionnaire, that it has to just be put in the minutes that this has been completed. Everyone has a copy. Everyone has a copy of that, so we just need a motion to put this into the minutes and adopt it. Herbie makes that motion. We have a second. Ed seconds. All in favor?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I might have not been paying attention, but did we skip item number 7 for the Historic Preservation Commission?
No, I asked, I said that y'all had applied for some grants, but I did not get an update where y'all met, but y'all had applied for some grants.
Now, that's the Main Street.
Is that
Now, this
right?
would be our CLG, our Certified Local Government with the Historic Preservation Commission.
No, the historical, I got a thing from, I thought I got an email from you or from someone saying about grants that y'all were applying for or looking to apply for. Was that right?
Yeah, that's right. And I just wanted to let you know that I did complete the CLG annual report for our fiscal year 2020. And also, I wanted to share with you guys that we have to, well, we don't have to, but I would like for us to consider sending an intent to apply for CLG grants for the fiscal year 2021. The intent to apply is due on Thursday, November 5th. Excuse me. So I asked her what some things, what people typically do when they first become a CLG and what they look to get funding for. And we've already got some of these things in place as far as our National Register District, Local Historic District, the design guidelines, an area survey. Mickey worked with them years ago with Main Street, and we got all that stuff done. So they did recommend that we look at developing guidelines specific to the local historic district. Other things that could be funded through this grant are architectural surveys, National Register nominations, professional assessments, publication and marketing, brochures and things like that, rebranding of the city, education and training, and small rehabilitation projects. And I can forward you guys, this is the manual and application forms, guidelines for that. So I don't know if we have to make a motion for that just to apply. That's been taken care of a long time ago.
Yeah, I think y'all have the authority within the planning commission to apply for grants as a commission, as Main Street would for Main Street. You have that authority as a separate entity to apply for those.
Do you have any input on what you would like for me to focus on out of that list of items?
Let me look back at that list. I think you sent it to me. Let me look at that, and if anyone else also would see it.
This afternoon, so I didn't want to overwhelm anybody with information right at the beginning of the meeting.
All right. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you.
Daniel on the Municipal Executive Committee.
Yes, sir. I just wanted to point out that, I said I would go back and do some more research, and I did. And the burden here rests with the party in which they want to create the Municipal Executive Committee for. And so necessarily the Board of Aldermen and the city can't do anything but really sit back and be agreeable to help out with the creation of this. And I say that to say that, so the chairman of the county executive committee of the party desiring to select a temporary municipal executive committee shall call upon petition of 5 or more members of that political faith, a mass meeting of the qualified electors of their political faith who reside in such municipality. All that's to say that I want to use Democrats, for example. If 5 Democrats in the city of Water Valleys think that they ought to be a municipal executive committee, they have to petition the county to select that, and then they all have to agree to select a public place for all the Democrats in the city to come together and have a meeting. And then at that meeting, they can designate who they want to be as the temporary executive committee. Alternatively, if they don't do that, the county executive committee can serve as the temporary municipal executive committee in order to put together the election that they need to have to elect the executive committee. You're talking in circles a little bit. So I'll say all that to say is that if whatever party wants to do this has to be the ones motivated to do it. As a city, we just have to sit back and kind of just go through the motions with them.
What happens if they don't?
Yeah, thank you. My question, because,
I mean, they're wanting us to hold primaries, right?
yeah,
Well, they wouldn't have a primary in the city of Water Valley. We would just have a general
That's
election.
right. We don't get the committee. Have a general, that's all we can do.
Right.
y'all hear Daniel, he said if they did not, there would be no primaries. It would just be the general election. And
Could they run multiple candidates under the same party?
yes, if you got one general election, could you? That's
That's where you get to the runoffs.
No, I thought that was where I'm sorry, what?
well, primaries, like Kagan is inferring here, is each party selects their nominee.
They only have one, yeah.
And
So
then
the
they-
party would have to put forward their own. So it would be basically infighting among the Democrats, who is the party to put on the general election ticket.
I haven't had one like that, so
That's, and it was the chairman of the county Democratic Party that has been coming to us saying, yeah, y'all have to have one because we don't want to do it anymore. And basically, they're the ones that have to,
They have to move.
they have to move the ball, so to speak, and start that within the city.
That's what I'm reading.
So.
I mean, the city aldermen can't come together. Where was that other form?
We can't appoint an executive committee, is basically what you're saying.
I have to run in the paper for 3 weeks at one time.
Yeah, and that's to announce when the public meeting's going to
Right,
be.
and they have to call, the chairman of the county has to call that meeting if I'm not mistaken.
So we need to get back with the county chairman and let him know that according to this,
Unless that's changed.
It says 5 or more residents of the city, and want to use city instead of municipality, who are members of the political party desiring to establish the city executive committee to conduct the city primary election may petition the chair of the county executive committee of the party. So then the county chair calls a mass meeting of the voters of that political party who reside in the city. The meeting should be held at a convenient time and place within the city designated in the call to meet. So for 3 weeks preceding when they're supposed to meet, the chair of the county committee, again, the county committee, publishes a copy of the call, which means the invitation to come to the meeting, in a newspaper published at least once per week in the city, or if there's no newspaper, and posts a notice of the meeting in 3 public places in the city, one of which is the city hall, where the regular location where we conduct business. At the meeting, the party members select a temporary municipal executive committee to serve until the next municipal primary election, when the permanent municipal executive committee would be elected.
attorneys wrote that.
And if no committee is selected or formed before the deadline preceding the municipal election, the county executive committee may serve as the temporary committee and conduct the city primary elections. And so I assume that's what they've been doing in the past.
Yes, and they have been doing it, yeah. And then they certify it now.
And So the municipal election commissioners, which are, we're on a different group of people now, are responsible for conducting the general and special municipal elections. And they serve for 4 years contemporaneously with the term of municipal offices. The municipal party, so the city party executive committee may enter into a written agreement with the election commissioners for the city and or the city clerk to perform certain of their statutory duties in the primary election if that party, and then it goes
They
through a
do it
bunch of
pretty quickly.
gobbledygook.
They get to that agreement real quick.
Yeah.
I'll tell you,
But,
Yeah.
real quick.
but for us going out and finding us a member, we don't. need to
We
do that.
we cannot appoint an executive
No,
committee.
they
But we can,
basically,
the
I mean, what party's asking us to do this?
Democratic.
So if the Democratic Party has 5 people in the city, they have to ask, they sign a petition to the county committee saying, hey, we want to have a formal executive committee, and then the county, who's that chair?
Coach McLeod.
Mr. McLeod will then organize a city meeting for everybody to come to, and then they'll get together and at the they can select a temporary municipal executive committee. So they'll get together, and as a, I guess, a vote call like the Democratic committee on TV, they'll do a yay and nay as to who they want to select.
So basically with that, I just need to get back with Coach and tell him that,
But they would probably take the recommendations. I think Fred had one, but you know, they'd probably take recommendations.
I'm sure he would. Yeah. Okay. I'll get back with him and see if they can get that done for next year for sure. Okay. Anybody else on the board have anything they want to bring up? Herbie's got something.
Yeah, can I make a motion to amend the August minutes to reflect that the city board would like to explore adopting a drug policy and that the firm of Todd Butler with Phelps Dunbar should be consulted in drafting this instead of us.
Okay. That was, you heard the motion to go back and amend those minutes, August minutes for that. So we have that motion. We discussed it, but it did get left out of the minutes in August, so we need to get that motion into the minutes. So Herbie has made that motion that we put that in there.
Second.
Kagan seconds, all in favor?
Uh,
And that is unanimous, so we will.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else on the board have anything before we may have to go into executive session? Okay, I would entertain a motion.
Motion to consider entering executive session.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second, Herbie seconds, all in favor? Okay, so
All
we
right.
will
Good night, everyone. I'll
clear.
leave everybody, if they don't leave voluntarily, they're going to go away.
We got the chief here, he can kick them. Oh, you can kick those off and
I'm not sure who iPad 3 is.
they joined
Daniel,
us.
you iPad 3?
I'm not
What do they do?
I don't know.
Kagan, if we leave, we'll be right back. I got to check our battery level.
All right. Thank you, iPad 3. We're about to consider executive session, so we need to.
We're good for a while.
And got another one.
Doing.
As well. I find that I don't have to remove Mr. Howell anymore. He's gone.
We still have Mr. or Mrs. Doolin here.
We have one other. Okay, we need to clear the boardroom and then we'll call back in if we stay in executive session.
You see them? You see him, Kagan?
Yep, do you want to remove Doolin? Want to remove Doolin? Will not be able to. Okay.
Got one, somebody, now we got it.
I did it 3 times. It worked on the 3rd time. Okay, I'm pausing. I'm stopping our recording now.